Hey, 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 Mom Nation, and welcome to another episode of Untying the Knot. We have my amazing co-host here, Miranda.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you. I am
It's been a minute.
excited. It has been a minute. It has
Mhm.
been a minute, guys. We didn't drop, did we? We did drop an episode last
We did in
month.
December, and then I was gone January.
Right, right. Okay. It's all coming back to me now. So yeah. So
And here we are in
sorry,
almost
guys.
March.
It's crazy.
I
So
know.
nuts. Anyway, so today, not to ignore her because she is such an amazing big presence in the room, we have Jeanine on the show today. And Miranda and I are so excited to dive into your world, Jeanine, because it's a very unique world as it relates to the divorce community and those that are going through the process. And I just want to add really quick, you guys have heard about the divorce defenders. Miranda and I are on that team. Jeanine is on that team as well. If you want to check out the divorce defenders and see what it is that we do, what we're all about, get little snippets of a description on each one of us and what we do, then you can scan this QR code right by my face. And that will get you to our Direct Me webpage for the divorce defenders. And you can learn all about us there. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. So, Jeanine, can you introduce yourself, please? Tell us what your position is on the divorce defenders.
Sure. Well, thank you both for having me. I appreciate it. I love the work that we all do and how we're here to support women navigating life and divorce. So my role in the divorce, my role entirely and at the divorce defenders is an emotional reactivity consultant. So I'm known more casually as the divorce composure coach. And I support women and men navigating divorce. And essentially, in a nutshell, I teach the skill of composure so that they can, my clients can get better outcomes and reduce their emotional reactivity during a stressful time that causes a lot of legacy issues to pop up for people.
Which is so needed, right? Like as we work with more and more women in this world, as we are guiding people through the process, I personally am noticing more and more where your expertise and your guidance really comes in clutch for these women when they need it. And now, Miranda, let me ask you this.
Yes.
So, have you ever heard of a composure coach? Did you even know that existed before we met Jeanine?
No, and that was my number one. It's like there's so many layers, right? There's foundational issues, emotional issues, but they're just compacted and compiled when you're going through the divorce. Everything is on display, everything's highlighted. And that was the hardest part for me was like is like gasoline on fire, right?
Yeah.
You're already emotional, already a mess, and then now you're in your head about what am I going to do? What am I going to? How's it going to come off? What if they say that? And I'm not at all thinking about the things that I'm actually there to talk about, to work through, or whatever. And then the second part, which I know why Jeanine is so helpful, is then I'm beating myself up relentlessly because why did I do this? Why did I say this? Why did I come off this way? And it's just so counterproductive and unhelpful and just really a waste of time and energy. So I could have really used you.
Same.
20,
Me too. I could have used myself.
21 years ago. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, actually, I've been a subconscious reprogramming expert for 15 years, working with mostly women through major life transitions. But it was the last year and a half that I really refocused on helping women navigate divorce and men, although I know we're talking about women here. Because the clients that I was working with, I kept hearing, gee, I wish I had this information and knew you when I was going through the divorce. And it got me thinking like, yes, there is this little space, this wedge that I fit in during the process of divorce. And it can be at any point. But I have, and I'm a bit jumping ahead here, but I have the spot that is at the intersection between therapy, legal, and the experience. And so I'm not a therapist. I'm not trained in legal, and I give no legal advice. What I do is I help people understand why they react the way they do and how they can change it. on a deeper level by shifting their infrastructure, their architecture. I call it their inner architecture. And yeah, so that's kind of where that came. I love what I do. I've always loved what I do. I love working with people who are in this space where they didn't know that they had more control than they think. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think most of us can relate to that.
Totally agree. And thank you for going into that. It actually helps with my next question, which is, why is composure so critical during that time?
Yeah, well, when we are in these emotionally volatile spaces, and they are personal, there's no doubt about it. Even the most amicable divorce is stressful, and it's filled with fear and guilt and all of these emotions, whether it was the individual's choice or not to instigate the divorce. It is a complicated situation. And then you throw kids in there, and it gets even more complicated. So instantly, I forgot your question. Please ask me.
That's okay. Why is
I did this
composure
the last time we spoke?
It's all right. Hey, we're all here to help support one another. Why is composure so critical during divorce proceedings?
Thank you. Because when we are not looking through the lens of some regulation and composure, you are more likely to make rash decisions. You're more likely to regret your decisions. I have clients that are constantly saying, there's many ways to divorce, right? There's mediation, there's collaborative divorce, and then there's litigation. People who are facing having to go to court, and they look at their ex and they start to panic because it's not just looking at the individual in the moment, it's a flood of emotions that are connected with that mind, body, soul connection. And you have a somatic physical response that then triggers the brain. And so it's this roller coaster or landslide, I should say, of reactivity that comes up. So when you want to navigate some of the most difficult times of your life, you want to be able to speak clearly. You want to be able to make decisions clearly and not out of fear. And you want to be able to communicate in a way that represents what you're needing. Nobody wins in divorce. Everybody, I believe everybody agrees that there's no winners in divorce.
Right.
And it's not just about getting through the moment. It's about getting to that, setting yourself up to get to that next chapter in life in a way that is agreeable for all parties or acceptable for all parties, right? So, there's a whole lot of there are a whole lot of reasons to hire someone like me. Primarily, I like to remind people that composure creates credibility, and credibility is what's going to get you better outcomes for you and your family.
Yeah, that credit part is big, because I think I felt, at least in my experience, and I have gone through we had a few judges and a few attorneys, I was discredited when I was emotional, and that frustrated me and made me more angry. So I had that compounded with the fact that there was dishonesty. Like, call me what you want. I'm emotional all over the place, but I'm not a liar. Yeah. And so when I heard things that were blatant lies, like, what, and you're supposed to just sit there and listen to it and then wait your turn to say, oh, that's not true. And then who actually there's this whole, like, I'm being, no one believes me. And I'm being, so then when you're emotional on top of that, then it's even more, I felt written off completely. So that credit piece, I think, is really, really important.
Yeah, it is. I hear what you're saying, and it is a difficult spot to be in. And when we're in that fear spiral, it's incredibly difficult to be able to accept untruths, right? Yeah. So yeah, I hear you. And that is a difficult space to be. But when you have embedded, embodied composure, you're more able to witness versus be in the fire, if that makes sense.
Well, and not only that, but somebody like you can say, expect this. This is going to happen. They're going to say this. When they do, don't make a space. Don't whatever. It will have our turn. But no one ever, maybe she did. I don't remember, but I don't remember hearing the preparation side of it. And I think that is probably really helpful as well.
So I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I don't actually prepare people for court, for mediation in that way. But it's often thought that I do. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. I always refer my clients back to their attorneys, because some attorneys prefer it to be handled different ways. What I am completely focused on is that emotional reactivity component. So whatever they're asked to do by their attorney, or however they're expected to behave or show up, they're able to do it. So my work lies in the understanding of the individual
Yourself.
And yes. And so how do we reframe your inner architecture so that you're not reacting using old programming? So that is where my work sticks. But and there's a lot of other reasons why it's important to for me as a reactivity consultant, not to step into the lane of therapy. I refer plenty of people to therapy. I tell them all the time, save money for therapy. There's loans for college. I'm a firm believer in therapy. I'm not a therapist. I'm a hypnotherapist, and I have 15 years of experience with integrative, attachment theory and many other practicalities. No, techniques. Schools of lesson. And I don't step into the legal aspect. That's important that stays within that realm. So it's been an interesting joining, I think, of professionals in the process, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's a great discrepancy. Like your attorney's going to tell you what to do, and I'm going to be able to tell you how to do what it is they tell you to do.
Right.
Yeah.
If you are able to maintain composure and you're able to understand why it is you do the things you do, or why it activates the way it does, you're able to be more clear.
Are there any emotional or common emotional mistakes that you see happen time and time again that could potentially unintentionally hurt somebody's case?
As far as like emotional responses?
Yeah,
typical responses, particularly for men, is anger. Even if they're not angry, they often are seen as angry because they're this whole, culturally men are taught more to be quiet and be more sort of stoic. That can definitely come across as aggressive, and that is not helping them any. Also for women too, crying is definitely one of the easiest things to allow ourselves to do, because this is real human release. Emotions and life in the moment. That does not help you when you're negotiating or when you're in mediation, certainly not if you're in litigation. So the other things that are really, really common are when people literally lose their voice. They're unable to think clearly, and they kind of freeze up and they don't know what to say. It's all a result of emotional reactivity. Or speaking too much. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Overshare.
Who shares too much, right? And I think I've been guilty of that in my life, certainly. But if I could just explain it another way, if I could just make it understand, and that is another.
That's a deep architecture issue for sure.
Yes.
How do you? I'm just trying to think back, like all of the times in my life when I have burst into tears and it felt very difficult to control.
Sure.
How do you control that? I mean, that's probably a huge question that maybe we can't answer here, but that seems almost impossible. But it sounds like it's not.
It's not impossible. No, it's not. And it's not about disassociation or, separating yourself in those ways. When you understand what is activating under the surface, you're able to, the easiest way to say it without getting too nerdy about the subconscious is when you're able to understand what's activating you and why, you're able to dull that blade. So if your impulse is to cry, we talk about what that looks like, why, where it shows up in the somatic experience with our physical body. And then we link those back through cognitive and physical experiences to identify the layers of programming that creates that response. So we're tweaking the path there, right? The neural pathways. so that the end result is not a burst of tears and losing control. Now, do I guarantee my clients that they're not going to cry and get emotional? Of course not, because we're human. But I also teach them tools to use in the moment, symptomatic, I call them like surface tools, symptomatic tools, performative composure tools, so that they can regain composure if and when they do slip. It's not about going in and being a stone statue. It's about being able to think clearly, recover, and move through the process with more clarity.
And I think there's an energy piece there too, right? You can tell when somebody is being genuine or somebody's really like in the moment, but the tears still come, versus, oh my God, you know, and they're really like going off, and you can definitely tell the difference between the two. And that's something that I've worked on learning for myself and for my clients is the energy piece is really big.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we didn't get where we are in this day without having the experiences we've had. Right. So it's a fresh new day, but we also look back a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
Whether we know it or not.
For somebody who feels anxious, intimidated, or triggered by just the sight of her ex, do you have any practical or just one practical strategy perhaps that somebody in that position can use to stay grounded during a hearing or mediation?
Yeah, so I get asked those questions often, like what are some tips and tricks that you can teach us right now that people can take away? And I hesitate to give those, although I do teach them in my course, because those are treating the symptom essentially. And what we really want to do if we want to change the reaction is to understand that inner architecture better. So with that said, I'll give you my favorite one. And I have many, but I tend to show the same one on my podcasts because it's easy to do. It's very effective. And it is a tapping exercise that people can do whenever they're feeling emotionally overwhelmed. And it would be to tap in your chest and your heart center. And as you're inhaling, and I would suggest you lower your gaze. And inhale, slow 2, sharp 1. So that didn't quite work because my nose is you hear it. Hold on. It's inhale, and the end. And then as you exhale, you say out loud or you think in your head, that's not my story. That's not my story. And it's often better when you're able to think of it in your head and you're exhaling through your mouth. What that does is it interrupts the neural pathways. Even if it is your story, even if you literally just did whatever was said, that's not the point. The point is it's a thing to your brain. It sort of just makes that path jump or skip a beat a bit, which gives you a minute to regulate. So those are, that is a really good tip that one could use in the moment. I do recommend though that there's a lot of depth and like a lot of my clients say, I can't look at him across the room, or I'm not going to be able to be on the stand and connect eyes, because they're flooded with all of the experiences, what they've made those mean, and all of the parts to that. So to answer that question would be much more deep and individualized, but that would be solving that problem would be a result of working on a lot of levels, including if I'm going to give you one more tip, I'll do this real quick. If somebody is faced with that, make a list of 5 things that you know to be true in the moment. And show proof. So you're going to make a quick note, 5 things that you know are facts to be true. You're going to make a note how they feel, how those situations feel. So I know I'm not a liar because I don't lie. And the fact there can be, I don't lie, and my friends and family trust me, even if your ex is accusing you of being a liar. So when you have that, you've got the fact, you've got the supporting information, and then I want you to put next to that how it feels knowing that you're not a liar. And that connection between the emotional is what really activates that subconscious reprogramming. It's not just repetition. It's not just habit forming. It's it's factual, it's cognitive, it's the emotional, energetic, and it's that combination of the two. And that is how you shift the way you truly see yourself in a very high level nutshell.
Yeah, I can imagine that a lot of this is case by case, kind of depending on the person and what exactly that they're dealing with when you're guiding them. But that was really helpful. And I love the advice of bringing yourself back to the here and now, right?
Yeah.
That's really important in a lot of ways. And I hear that brought up quite a bit in different situations as well, from different therapists that I've spoken with that really feel that that's an important thing. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Presence, to be present in the situation and know that you're okay and know that you're safe.
Yeah.
It's tough, especially when not only, sometimes you don't have to just see the ex, sometimes they bring the girlfriend or
right.
whatever, and they're sitting right behind them, and you're like, I can look at you, but that, and so sometimes you get thrown off by different aspects or people you didn't expect to see. I've seen in the courtroom, family members or people, just that, like, whoa. And then I was all prepared for this, but I didn't expect that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's, I actually just had a client that happened too. And her ex showed up with not one, but multiple girlfriends. And,
lovely.
And that was another shock to her. We talked about that. Just like, it got her creating more self-doubt around the sheer numbers of people and who she thought she knew and things like that. So it's, it's very tricky, very layered. And you're right, Miranda, like you've seen it too, right? Focusing on the moment, understanding yourself and focusing on the moment to get you through the moment, essentially.
Well, and I've given myself permission a lot because I'm the biggest proponent of crying, but I cry differently now. Like the things I used to cry about, the stories I used to cry about, the victim stuff is different. Now I cry for things unexpected and for joyful reasons and all kinds of stuff. So I've learned that there's nothing wrong with me, that that's a beautiful thing. But I've also learned that I don't have to do it now. Like I know there's a release there, but it's safe now to kind of put a pin in it and come back to it. Not shove it down, not pretend, not disassociate, like you said, or pretend it's not there. But it's safe for me to like wait to explore it. And absolutely. I didn't know that was a choice or an option when I was going through divorce.
Yeah. I completely understand that. And when I was I was married for 20 years. I think we've talked about that before. And I've been divorced for 7, but there was definitely, that was a big part of my marriage was I needed that. I had that sense of urgency of solving everything right away. I mean, it's all linked to anxiety and, all of the things, but not being able to pause, take a beat, think. It was that incredible urgency to deal with something in the immediate moment that is not
survival mode.
Survival, 100%. Yeah.
So, Jeanine, when is the right time for somebody that might be going through the divorce process to bring you in for guidance? And what does working with you look like?
Yeah. Well, good question. I mean, there are some divorces that are moving much more quickly than others. The average is actually 2 years, 2-3 years if you're going through litigation.
Crazy.
If it's mediation or collaborative, could be much sooner. So my recommendation is the moment that you realize that you might not show up the way you want to represent yourself, that's the moment to get me involved. So the way I've structured my program is time contained. And I think that is it has been reported that it's incredibly useful to clients for a couple of reasons. One, when you're going through a divorce, the bills are coming in, you're not sure what the budget's going to look like. You've put a retainer in if you've got a lawyer, things like that. This is a time contained 5-week program that actually people usually take about 7 weeks to go through because week 3 gets pretty, is better to take a week or 2 on or 2 or 3 weeks on versus 1. So it's a time-contained program. It's hybrid. They're able to access information online. It used to be that they would just work for me for a period of time, like 3-month section. And I found that that's overwhelming to a lot of people who are navigating divorce. So they want to do this in conjunction with the whole process. It's 5 weeks. We insert my work there. They're online doing the coursework, which is our very brief educational videos with really concise yet comprehensive worksheets that they work through. And then they meet with me once a week for a private session where we customize all of the things that they've learned into their current situation so they can actually implement the theory and the education component. Whereas before, I felt like I was doing too much of the education and the one-to-one, and I really want to spend, maximize my time with the client to make sure that they understand and relate to it personally. So it's a 5-week program. I also include unlimited Voxer support, which is text and voice support. So it's really helpful if they're going into an important meeting, if they've received, an inflammatory email, things like that, they can process that with me, which is a whole lot cheaper than processing it with their lawyer.
Yeah.
And, the lawyers really like it. The attorneys tell me like, my client stopped calling me at 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I know, because
they call me.
It's wonderful. And I think certainly what I needed when I was going through my divorce. So it is a time-contained program. And then there's access to the program for as long as they need. If their court date is pushed out, if they're in court, if their mediation date ends in a year, that's not likely. But what I'm saying is they have access to the online program for as long as they need. And there's an constantly updated video library with useful videos that they can access. And so that is how my program sort of interweaves or integrates with the divorce process.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. It's really wonderful. It's really wonderful to see when people recognize, like I said before, oh wow, I do have more control. I do have more power than I thought I did. That lights me up. I love to see that.
Well, really, it's probably just like a win. Like women in this situation need a win. They need to feel like they're being not just supported, but like empowered and confident. And I just never felt that in that situation. I just felt pounded down and lowered. Right. So just to have just that, I mean, yeah, the stuff is helpful, but just to also feel like you have someone on your side, that somebody supports you, somebody trusts you, somebody empowers you, because family and friends are very emotionally tied to this stuff. And so they can be supportive, but they can also be not so helpful. So I think just that piece is crucial too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is super empowering when you can write your own narrative, right?
Yeah.
Where you're not stuck in what was or was said.
Thank you for doing that and for being there for women and men. Like you are. Another thing that I think is real cool about you and I appreciate is that I see you poking your head into the divorce community, which is a Facebook group for women that are going through, whether they be, just beginning the process or in the middle of the process or even after the process. And I see you poking your head in there and offering some little tidbits of value and some expertise and as well as support for those women. So really, thank you so much for doing that. That's much needed as well. And I appreciate that.
Thank you both for having the group. It's wonderful to be a part of it and to be in it. And yeah, you guys do a great job.
Oh, thanks. Well, you're welcome. That about wraps up my end of questions. Miranda, is there anything that you were hoping that we dive into that we didn't mention or we didn't ask Jeanine?
No, I think we hit a lot of good stuff. I think it's just really, it's important, as I've said before in our divorce defender stuff, it's important that you look at the totality of the situation and that urgency and that survival mode is just like, what do I have to do? Well, if they have an attorney, I have to get an attorney. If they do, and then if we're going to sell the house, I got to have a realtor. But we don't think about anything else. And I know money can be tight, but I think you're just delaying some things sometimes when you put off the emotional work that needs to be done, the physical work that needs to be done, taking care of your body, sleeping, finances, making sure your stuff's in order. There's so many little pieces there that we're just hyper focused on what we need to do to get through. And if we can have the space and the presence of mind to say, I might not be able to afford everything now, but I really want to make sure I'm okay going forward, not just in this moment to sign the papers and be done. It will really help you out and your children long term.
I will say you're 100%. You're right. One of the benefits of condensing this to a 5-week sort of comprehensive program is that clients see a return on investment nearly immediately, because we can save them, and I have saved my clients
sure
2 hours of attorney time.
Oh yeah.
Covers my program. So
just the response time for attorneys is,
yes. So there is, when you look at it and understand, okay, if I can get my emotions in check and understand the process more, show up and communicate more clearly, my God, you're not just saving a couple of hours of attorney time. You're saving yourself from having to go back on decisions that you made in a state of, not clarity, being unclear, right? If we can avoid litigation, you're saving $30,000. So there are lots of things to consider, and I love the kind of impact that this work creates for people. And
it's not just that money piece, mental, emotional, physical, like all of that stuff, the decisions and the things that you do will have an effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like that'll carry on to other things and other situations as well, right? Because
100%.
You're not going to unlearn the things that you learned with Jeanine. And so that can just be applied to, okay, maybe now post-divorce, we're dealing with co-parenting.
Yeah.
We're dealing with,
Sorry, I'm like, oh, yes, I actually have a client now who went through my program and is now working with me in the second chapter. Yes, absolutely. You're co-parenting. I actually did another podcast and he brought that up. He's like, I've been co-parenting for 20 years. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't go away when you sign your papers.
No.
So, so much of that is so important. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it is a challenge. You're not just navigating the moment. You're looking at your child's life with this person. I mean, then there's grandchildren. And so you'll always likely be connected in some way.
Yeah.
Well, and you're setting the tone or setting the expectation, because if you're weak and you crumble in that divorce process, then not only may you continue to do that, but they'll think you'll continue to do that.
Yeah.
So if you can show up all of a sudden to your divorce hearing as this more confident, more empowered woman, then but guess what, buddy? Things are going to be different now. Maybe I didn't get that clear before. I couldn't do that, but now I can. So going forward, here's how you can expect me to show up.
Absolutely.
I love it. Love it. Much needed, Jeanine. I am so honored to have the only emotional reactivity consultant in the world on our podcast today. Thank you so much. I will have your contact information showing in the show notes for those that want to connect with you, consult with you, learn more about what you do. But real quick, while I have you, what is the best way for our clients, followers, friends to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do offer free consultations, which are not sales calls. It's actual consultations where you can understand a bit more about what I do, see if it's a good fit, and you leave with information, right? So when you set that link, I would love everyone to know that if you're going through this and you want some more information, just schedule a no stress, no pressure call. The best way to reach me is on my website, which is JeanineTripodi.com. There is a quiz on that website that I encourage everyone to take. It is, I built it myself. It took a long time, and it gives you great information about how and when you might lose control or lose your grip. So that's a really great, it's a free quiz, and it does provide a great insight. And if you're currently going through a divorce, I encourage you to share that with your attorney, share your results. But you can find me on Instagram at Jeanine Tripodi and on Facebook as Jeanine B. Tripodi.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being here with us. And of course, thank you, Miranda, for being with us too. Guys, if you want to check out the Divorce Defenders, I showed it at the beginning of the episode. I'll show it again. This is the QR code. All you need to do is scan this QR code. That's going to bring you over to our webpage. You can learn a bit more about each and every superhero on the team there, what they do, and how we can support you as you go through this process. If you want to check out any of our previous episodes over on our YouTube channel, it is at Mom Nation USA. That's our handle. Scroll down just a little ways. You will see the bright blue playlist, which is Untying the Knot. And you could check out any of our previous episodes there, or on your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for Mom Nation Talk Radio. There you'll find us do all the same things, like, download, notify, and you will never miss a beat. One thing that I do want to mention before we go, guys, this content and this value is completely free to you. You are accessing this for zero, right? And we want to keep doing that. And for us to keep doing that, we need to know that you appreciate this content. First of all, we need to know that you're finding value in it. And one way that you can show us that is just to reach up and click that follow button on whatever platform you are listening or watching on. And that sends Miranda and I a little message. Hey, ladies, we love you. Keep on showing up. And we will certainly do so. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or disconnected from yourself? Miranda Ray offers one-on-one private sessions designed to help you reconnect with yourself. Gain tools for emotional healing, build confidence, and step into your power with compassionate guidance every step of the way. You deserve peace. You deserve clarity. You deserve to feel good again. Let Miranda help you get there. Take the first step toward a brighter, more balanced you. Reach out to Miranda now.